What is up, everybody out there in podcast land? No, I don't need an iron lung like I did last week. Hopefully.
No, it's a good thing because it's on back order, too. You know,
Yeah.
the holidays, kids.
Yeah. Supply chain issues. Parts coming from China.
You're stuck out on the boat waiting to get into the harbor.
Yeah. Once we get to the weekend edition, this later on tonight, of course, you'll hear it this Saturday. I will apologize profusely for the last 5 minutes of last week's weekend edition. I just thought, let's just push through, and I never should have done it. Never should have done it. But, pushing all that aside, great to have you aboard, as always, for your favorite politically incorrect sports commentary podcast. I would say this is the final podcast before Christmas, but technically, I will be doing this solo on Christmas.
Yes, you will.
So this is the last podcast episode of the year with your Uncle Dave, the Conquistador Dave Height.
Alas, kids, we'll be back and better than ever after the new year.
2025. We always strive to be bigger and better than ever each and every year.
Angrier.
That won't be a problem. That should never be a problem.
That's going to be easy.
I, of course, am your humble and gracious host, along with Dave. I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the Conquistador Dave Height.
So,
let's begin this week's jaunt down the sports avenue, shall we?
And of course, what do we always start with?
The NFL.
This time of year, of course.
Because football is king.
And of course, now football's taken over Christmas, so...
Ah, yes. Down with the NBA. Long live football.
Yeah, that's going to cause a major clusterfuck for us with our picks, though. I'm going to have to get everybody acclimated to...
an early day.
Picking a day early. So, looking back at last week, NFL Week 15. Some good, some bad, some ugly. And ugly was the word for last Thursday night's game.
Yeah, it couldn't get much uglier than that one.
I do believe that's the first game of the season with no touchdowns.
Yeah. Field goal, field goal, field goal, field goal, field goal.
And field goal.
Then field goal. Good God.
Now, the weather was a viable excuse for the first half. The weather in the first half, that we're, of course, talking about the Rams at the 49ers. The first half weather was atrocious, but there was no excuse in the second half. The rain had stopped.
Yeah, come on. You know how to play in inclement weather. Both teams didn't know what the hell they were doing.
Both teams are California pussies. What are you talking about?
They should know how to play in the rain, especially up in Santa Clara, because they get a good, decent amount of rain up there in the Bay Area.
Some of the storylines to take away from this, of course, is the Rams win 12-6. They did not know, of course, what was going to happen on Sunday with the Seahawks, but by winning this game, the Rams now are in the playoff picture. They are in as the NFC West champs if everything ended today.
But we know it's not.
The 49ers have got to write this off pretty much right now as a lost season. With all the injuries, the underperformers. Deebo Samuel, I would get rid of him in a second. We talked about that last week. And once again, he dropped a crucial pass. Slant. Brock Purdy hit him perfectly would have walked in for the touchdown that probably would have won the game, considering, again, there were no touchdowns in the game, and he dropped it.
Which is what you get with him. Inconsistent play.
I've never been a big fan. A lot of these guys, you know, we can run them out of the backfield, we can throw to them, we can have them return kicks.
How about you let them focus on one thing to do well?
Yeah, because it's a rare commodity to be able to do all of those very, very well. And I'm sorry, Deebo can't.
It
just
looked like
can't.
he might have been able to initially, but he can't pull it off now.
No.
A couple years in, forget it.
And the Rams just keep grinding it out and grinding it out. They're going to wear Kyron Williams down into the ground. But, you know, he basically won him this game because it was ball control, keeping the ball,
eat the clock,
and keeping the ball in field goal range without turning it over.
Yep, they did what they needed to do.
Cooper Kupp with 0 catches. Brutal game for him. Of course, Puka Nacua showed up, so at least Stafford had a couple weapons at his disposal.
But still, just not a pretty game to watch.
No, and I'm beginning to wonder. I don't know how you feel about this. And I like Brock Purdy a lot. I do. And they're going to, I got to believe they're going to pay him. I think he fits really well in Kyle Shanahan's system. But the further along this season goes, I'm beginning to wonder if his demands for a salary are going to be dropping. Because I can't see him demanding $60 million a year right now.
No. You can't do that, especially, unfortunately for him, it's driven around what the rest of the team does too. He can look really good, but if you have guys like Samuel dropping passes consistently.
And then the running game keeps getting dinged up because they're on their third string running back.
If he's got no protection and he's scrambling.
Yeah, because Trent Williams has been out, his left tackle, arguably, if not the best, one of the best left tackles in the league.
So that's hard to have the sustained performance if there's nothing around you.
Yeah, and that's hurting his chance at getting a very lucrative extension. Now, considering Mr. Irrelevant is getting, less than $1 million a year right now, I'm sure he'll take $45 million a year and won't sneeze at it.
Exactly. And then they can always up it and whatever they need to do down the line.
They can tear up the deal and yeah.
If he outperforms it or whatever.
But at some point,
but again,
we've talked about
these quarterbacks are not worth that much damn money.
Yep, we've talked about it. It's got to come to a head.
It's stupid.
Although, it never seems to. With baseball, you get Juan Soto. We talked about his deal last week.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
When is it ever going to end?
When the most successful quarterback over the last 6 years is, 50 to 55, whatever he's getting from Mahomes, and you have people who have eclipsed him who haven't won jack shit, you got a frickin' problem.
Yeah, well, and part of it's the agents. Part of it is we've got to get one better.
Yeah, no, you don't.
We've got to get $1 million better than the previous guy.
Which is ridiculously stupid. How about you stay in your damn lane and make it affordable for the team to be a success from top to bottom?
And remember the Rams, again, now they're back in the playoff picture. And remember when they won their Super Bowl and they traded away all their draft picks. And what their GM wore that shirt that said, "Fuck those picks."
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they've had a fairly quick turnaround. They have stability at quarterback.
Yep.
But they lost Aaron Donald. They've
lost some key pieces, and it's kind of showing, but they're starting to develop some.
And they have a very good head coach.
They do. They have a really good head coach.
Now, I don't know if we should even bother spending much time on this game, but it was the first time in 2 years the Panthers were favored?
Yeah.
As we move on to Sunday, December the 15th.
Yeah, first time they're favored, and they completely blew it.
So the Cowboys keep their slim playoff hopes alive. Oh, that Aaron Rodgers, he's looking really good.
One game.
Only took him, 3.5 months?
Yeah. Over, 3/4 of the season?
Yeah. And now he's finally looking good as they barely beat the Jaguars in Jacksonville.
Now, is it him looking good, or is it just that they were playing the Jaguars?
Well, the fact that the Jaguars put up 25 points
Says that Jets defense isn't all that.
that's okay. The more the Jets win, the worse their draft pick gets.
Yep.
Your Dolphins suck.
Yeah,
Dave, your Dolphins suck.
I told you they were going to lose this one.
Yeah, Island Boy did not sell enough coconut heads
No.
to
Miami
make the nut
loses
this week.
to Texas 20-12.
And I still don't like the Texans.
No, they're not. Their offense is stumbling this second half of the season.
And now Jalen Waddle hurt.
Well,
although he hasn't done much
been
this year.
Anything, so that's nothing new.
But bad timing because they just released Odell Beckham Jr.
Who did nothing. He played what? 3 games and had 3 targets, something like that.
You watch that
bad
idiot.
fucking
watch.
Nobody should ever sign this asshole again.
He will latch on with the Chiefs. You watch.
He is useless. He's worthless. He does nothing except collect a paycheck for doing nothing.
He is the worst of the prima donna receivers.
Absolutely. God awful.
So the Dolphins are all but eliminated. Still have faint hope, but now the Texans have locked up, I believe, the AFC South already. Because the Indianapolis Colts
completely blew the game in Denver.
God. We'll have a little bit more on this game later.
Yeah, in another segment. But
towards the end.
They really have to reconsider the quarterback situation in Indy.
Yeah, it wasn't like the Broncos set the world on fire in this game. A lot of it had to do with just bad play on the part of the Colts.
Yep, turnovers, bad special teams.
Yep, because Bo Nix, I believe, had 3 touchdowns, but also threw 3 picks.
Yeah.
So now the Broncos tomorrow night, as we tape on Wednesday, December the 18th, and we'll get to those picks in a few minutes, have a true test coming up as they leapfrog the Chargers into the 6th spot in the AFC playoff picture.
Will
it last? Will it last? For the second week in a row, the Lions play a pinball machine game.
Good grief. What was it, going in? The over-under was set at, 51? 51 and a half, somewhere around there. Unbelievable. 90 points put up between the Bills and the Lions.
Yep, this time the Lions do not prevail, as the Bills win 48-42.
No defense from either side in the second half.
Yep. So now you got to wonder about the Lions. A lot of people all of a sudden down on the Lions, especially after losing David Montgomery now.
Yep, done for the year with a torn MCL. Not good.
So now the workload...
But it's a reality check that maybe it's what they needed.
Yeah, the workload will definitely increase for Jahmyr Gibbs.
Can he handle it?
And you've got all the... Obviously, looking at these scores over the last 2 weeks, all these injuries on the defensive side are killing them.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell's getting desperate, trying onside kicks way too early in this game. And now you got the Vikings breathing down their neck. The Eagles keeping pace with them now with 2 losses.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild playoff.
Speaking of those Eagles, to me, they exposed the Steelers as frauds.
Yes. Could not have said that better.
Now, we sit here, we've been doing this for months, talking about the Chiefs, and talking about how the Chiefs are barely squeaking by and barely winning games. Now, Patrick Mahomes, high ankle sprain, but looks like he's going to play despite this compacted schedule the Chiefs are going to have to go through here throughout Christmas.
Yeah. Maybe he actually just needs to take a week off because let's face it, really, his play has not been all that this season either.
I think what they're looking at is I think they are going to try to push through this accelerated schedule where they have to play this coming Saturday and then turn around and play on Christmas. And then hopefully they lock up home field, and then that last week they play Denver.
They can just let him sit and rest those ankles.
Because I think they're looking at it and saying, that's 2 weeks. But with the bye, if they lock up the bye, that's 2 weeks they give him to rest up that ankle sprain. Otherwise, you gamble. You put Carson Wentz in against a decent Texans team, and you stumble there. You open the door again for Buffalo, who holds a tiebreaker because they beat you.
But then again, do you want to risk him being done with that ankle?
This is why the big fat tubagoo idiot with the walrus mustache has to make all these decisions, getting paid all the big bucks.
There you go.
So you can talk about nuggies and Bundaruski. But the Eagles beat the Steelers 27-13. The Eagles aren't necessarily blowing people out either, but they're just grinding out these wins.
They're playing
week in
solid
and week out.
ball. They're doing what they need to do.
Yep, they're overcoming distractions because you had this little tiff with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts that what Brandon Graham, who's not even playing right now, brought up. And it looks like they come right back and they beat the in-state rivals by 2 touchdowns.
I guess all is well.
Yeah, so much for Nick Sirianni being an idiot. Maybe he actually knows what he's doing to some extent.
Maybe. We'll see. Oh.
And then the shocking game of the week to me.
Buccaneers traveled to the West Coast and put a hurt on the Chargers.
Wow. I thought this
40-17.
I thought this Chargers defense was top 3 in the league. That's what I was expecting when I picked the Chargers over my beloved Buccaneers.
Nope. Baker threw all over them.
Yep. Yeah, 4 touchdown passes?
Yeah.
40-17. Wow. So one time this year, I might have actually known what I was talking about when I said the Buccaneers are...
Could be probably maybe the 3rd best team in the NFC.
Yes. And they have got a cake schedule the rest of the way. They could go 3-0 here, go to 11-6. You do not want to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No, they are looking pretty solid.
Then, among the featured games from last week that we picked, somebody should have told the Seattle Seahawks
that there was a game.
Yeah, you're not on Monday night, guys. You're on Sunday night. Hey, Gino.
Wake up. Hello. This isn't your walkthrough.
An ugly game. And the Seahawks, I don't know what to expect from them from week to week. They're one of those teams that will show up when you least expect it, and then when the big game comes around at home,
they crap the bed.
Yep. Geno Smith got hurt. Packers dominated from the beginning of this game, 30-13. Now, I'm still not buying into the Packers. I said I'm not buying into the Texans in the AFC, and I don't believe in the Packers in the NFC.
Not completely. They're not a complete team.
Oh, I still want to see what happens if you shut Josh Jacobs down.
That's the thing. Nobody's able to do it.
See, I'm telling you, they are not going to stand a chance against the Eagles, the Buccaneers.
Anybody with a solid defensive line, they're not getting through.
The only hope they've got is if they get a home game in the first round of the playoffs and make somebody like the Rams or the Bucks go up to Lambeau. Now, I don't know how the seeding would work. I don't know even know if the Bucks could play the Packers in the first weekend. I don't know.
We haven't delved into it that much.
Buccaneers would have a home field advantage anyway as a division winner.
Right. So that's a non-starter.
But just that's the only edge that I see the Packers could get on anybody is playing in January in Lambeau Field. I don't trust Jordan Love yet. And you got to remember, the kid is only really in his second full year as a starting quarterback.
Right. But he's got a pretty damn good coach.
He's got a very good
Developing
coach.
him.
Again, I will just say, stop Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. Load the box, stop the run.
Because they've got a bunch of mid-level receivers.
Yeah, they do not have a stud
No.
receiver at all.
No, none of these guys, Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, none of them have really stepped up.
No,
Dante Wicks, none of them have stepped up to really take over.
Yeah, they do not have a true number one.
So we will see what happens. Now, before we move on to Week 16's picks, we got to recap some other news. We've talked about the Buccaneers. We talked about the Dolphins, of course, because they are at the bottom of the dumpster. We wait now. Now we will talk about the Bears.
Do we have to?
Was it 8-game losing streak now?
Yeah. With no sign of anything.
They fall to 4-10 on Monday Night Football, losing to the Vikings 30-12. Big shock. Big shock.
And the offense has regressed once again because you actually had a coordinator who seemed to have known what he was doing, but now he's pulled in multitude of directions because they named him the interim head coach.
Well, and the big flaw that everybody pointed out in the Monday night game was you put the young kid, the left tackle, on an island, and it just...
Why? My biggest problem with him, in the third round, you do not draft a left tackle out of the Ivy League. Overmatched from the beginning. He's beyond a development project. Maybe if he was a 6th, 7th round pick. 3rd round pick, you expect your tackle to be at least a starter or in the rotation consistently and able to handle the one-on-ones. Not get beat so badly time after time. He's the reason for the strip sack.
Yes.
The fumble.
Oh, yeah. And that was about the time I started to check out.
Ugh.
And then I wake up the next morning and I see everybody posting this meme of Caleb Williams like leaning off to the side on the bench.
On the bench. Oh, he was hurt.
Like a beaten man.
He was hurting. You could tell. He's still, I'll give him credit, he is still handling this as well as anybody
He's
about as professional as you could be. And I give him all the props for it. He's trying to remain positive and looking at it as a learning experience. I just hope he is not that far beaten down where his confidence is completely shattered, like with what happened to David Carr back in the day.
No, I fully expect him to become an all-star in 4 years.
With another team.
With the Seattle Seahawks, yes.
Oh, my God.
And, of course, the Vikings, big thing the whole night was, of course, they had their, what was it, their whiteout jerseys, all white.
The Winter Warrior.
Yes, and then you had the sad news about Randy Moss hovering over the whole night with him battling cancer. So you had Justin Jefferson, after he scored a touchdown, kind of paying tribute to him, and Chris Carter was there, and another receiver from that team. So the Bears, again, this never works in the Bears' favor.
They're an embarrassment.
Speaking of embarrassments, Kirk Cousins in Atlanta, the other Monday night game, as they barely squeak by the Raiders Kirk Cousins does not look good again.
Yep, lucky to have thrown a touchdown pass to Drake London. The only touchdown in that game.
Only touchdown he's thrown in the last, month?
Month or
Yeah.
plus.
1 touchdown, 9 interceptions.
Yeah, brutal. And he can't move. He has not come back from that Achilles.
So that leads the Falcons, who have now fallen behind the Buccaneers in the NFC South, to make the drastic move, albeit, looking back at the draft,
not that drastic.
The brilliant draft move to draft Michael Penix Jr. And everybody said, why? Why would you do this?
Because they didn't know what they were going to have with Cousins. And now we'll see what Mr. Penix can do.
Michael Penix Jr. will start this week against the New York Giants?
Yeah. At home against the Giants. It's a good game for him to make his debut in.
Absolutely. So Kirk Cousins next year might be the most expensive backup quarterback in NFL history.
Yeah. Eek.
Now, I do believe after 2 years they can get out from under this deal without having to take on a ton of dead cap money.
Yeah. So there's hope for them at some point. Do we delve into the issues with the 49ers, or is that saved for the other segment?
I thank you very much for asking, and I think that we will defer.
Okay.
I think we will defer to the latter part of the podcast.
There we go. Because
and if you kids haven't figured that out by now, come on.
There's a twofer on this one. I have a badass and the dumbass coming out of this.
There you go. Now, of course, we all know that we talked about it last week. Bill Belichick has taken over as head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. But multiple sources came out this week. Now, I never heard complete and total confirmation. And, of course, Aaron Rodgers was too busy exploring his female side. We'll get to that later. But multiple sources said that Bill Belichick, either somebody in his camp or himself, reached out to the New York Jets asking about their head coach opening.
Really?
And he was summarily dismissed.
Whew. Well, that's Woody Johnson for you.
Yep. Then, of course, we had a ton of injuries. Oof. We've already mentioned David Montgomery from the Lions with the MCL tear. We have mentioned Patrick Mahomes and the high ankle sprain. Looks like he will play, though. And when we get to pick that game, we'll discuss that a little bit more and the impact the news of him coming back to practice had on the line on that game. Jacksonville loses tight end Evan Ingram for the year with a torn labrum. And it looks like the woeful story of Nick Chubb continues as he broke his foot.
Ugh.
Just, a month and a half after coming back from recovering from a knee injury. So it looks like he's done for the year. So let's get into our picks for this week, shall we?
Sure, why not? All right, starting off with the Thursday night game.
That, of course, is tomorrow night as we tape here on the 18th.
Or tonight as you're listening to this Thursday morning.
And this is a game that was flexed a few weeks back, remember?
Yeah.
The first ever dreaded Thursday night flex, which shows how much the NFL cares about their fans.
They don't. But we have the Broncos going to L.A. to take on the Chargers.
SoFi Stadium.
Yep.
That's where I thought you were going with that. Yep. going to play at SoFi Stadium.
No, I wanted to say San Diego so
I was
badly.
trying to cover for you. I was trying to
Come
cover for
on.
a brother. The San Diego thing would have been my mistake. But, okay, the Chargers coming off a beatdown in this stadium at home at the hands of the Buccaneers. The Broncos coming off a win over an inept Indianapolis Colts team. But
They did not look that great doing it. They have issues, too.
But now, a couple weeks ago, you would have told me this game, yes, it's coming up. I would have said this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out defensive struggle. Now, after the Chargers let up 4 touchdowns with Baker Mayfield, now I'm wondering about how good that defense really is.
Have they been a smoke and mirrors?
Yes, exactly. Has this team been overachieving all year thanks to their head coach? We've been saying week in and week out, this team does not have the weapons for Justin Herbert. You lost your number 1 running back, J.K. Dobbins, for the year.
Yep. And that showed in that loss last week.
Yeah, and last week you still got beat, despite the fact you got your young number 1 receiver, Ladd McConkey, back. But does Jim Harbaugh rally the troops here? Does he kind of put the rookie Bo Nix through the ringer here? And do we see another switch back and forth between these two teams who are currently positioned in the 6th and the 7th slots, the wild card slots in the AFC?
Well, of the 7 panelists, 6 of us think that is what's going to happen. So, most of us are taking the Chargers, with the exception of Doug, who's going with the Broncos.
Yep, as Dave said, 7 of our 8 panelists with their picks in right now. And if you want to see all 8 panelist picks Thursday night, check out the Facebook page. Yeah, I just think, I thought this last week when they were playing the Buccaneers, but Harbaugh's too good of a coach to let this team slide out of the playoff picture.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what happens. If the Chargers lose this, then you're letting the Bengals back into the picture. And nobody wants to play the Bengals.
No, you don't want to face that offense.
Because that's going to be a shootout. And it could go either way. You don't want Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase
to go
coming to your city to
wall.
play your team. So the Chargers have got to win this game. Because if they slide back again and bring the Bengals within a game, because the Bengals have got a pretty easy game this week. Bengals move up to 7-8. Chargers drop to 8-7.
Could get very interesting.
All right, we mentioned Saturday. Now this is interesting. We've got 2 games on Saturday, December the 21st. Of course, this is also the day where we'll have 3 of the 4 first-round college football playoff games under the 12-team setup now. So you're going to have to pick and choose, kids. What do you want to watch?
And your last button is going to be going bonkers Saturday, kids.
And then, of course, these 4 teams are going to reconfigure and play each other in a different way at different cities on Christmas.
Yeah.
In order to give teams the maximum amount of rest they can before they have to play again.
Right.
So this is why the Patrick Mahomes debate comes up on whether to play him or not or wait till later to rest him.
Yeah, this is going to be the first of 3 games in 11 days.
No, this will be the second.
Will this be the second?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the third will be Christmas. Then they get a long break.
Then they do have the long breaks.
Yeah, this is the second.
This will be the second
in that short
of that,
window.
Yeah. But
and I've already told you, I cannot express how much I do not trust the Texans. I don't think they look as sharp as last year, good as last year, despite the fact they have Joe Mixon in the mix this year as opposed to last year. The Chiefs will somehow, once again,
They
if Mahomes
find
is playing,
a frickin' way to win.
and Mahomes is off the injury report, I checked a couple hours ago.
The Texans will let the Chiefs off the hook, like everybody does.
Completely agree. Completely agree.
Everybody takes their foot off the gas when they play the Chiefs.
Can I just tell you something? I know I'm just talking out of my ass, like I always do. But doesn't it seem like this year, because we know the Chiefs have been winning almost every game by the skin of their teeth. It just seems like every week, though, the Chiefs have a home game.
It does, doesn't it?
I know. The Chiefs, again, why isn't this game in Houston? But again, it's at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
So that's another big factor in taking the Chiefs.
Yep, the weather's going to be crappy. So.
Yep. So the point I wanted to make about Patrick Mahomes coming back to practice after the initial news of the high ankle sprain and then being taken off the injury list completely. This game started off as the Texans were favored by 2. And the minute Mahomes came back to practice, shifted 5 points in favor of the Chiefs. Now the Chiefs are back to being favored by 3.
Crazy.
So everybody on the panel, 7 of the 8 picks that are in, everybody taking the Chiefs. And another unanimous pick for the second game on Saturday.
Yep, the Steelers at the Ravens. Even though the Ravens have not been playing all that great, even though the Steelers beat the Ravens earlier, this is in Baltimore, so we're all taking the Ravens.
I still think the Ravens are dangerous. I still think the Ravens are really, really dangerous. And just like talking about the Bengals, if they were to sneak in, the Ravens will get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I think nobody wants to play
team.
them. Nobody wants to play them. Because when they're on, they are phenomenal. And the Steelers, I think everybody wants the Steelers. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah. Everybody wants to play them.
They are beatable.
Very
Again,
beatable.
Mike Tomlin does an amazing job with a roster that's usually much less than what other teams have.
And they are a much less Steelers team than you've seen in a while.
Yeah. And we never know what we're going to get from week to week with George Pickens, the one offensive weapon for Russell Wilson.
All right. Hey, look at that. 3rd game in a row.
Yeah, unanimous
across the
again.
board. Yep.
Sunday, December the 22nd, as we move on. Would have thought maybe there'd been a little love for the Commanders, but
not really. We're all taking the Eagles at Washington.
I think the Eagles are just playing that well. And I'm still waiting for Jaden Daniels to really run smack dab into that rookie wall. Because I don't think he's similar to Justin Herbert with the Chargers. He's got Terry McLaurin. I'll give him that. But that backfield is all dinged up. I don't think he needs another year. Dan Quinn, that front office, need another year to give him more to work with.
You've got to. He has what we wish Caleb Williams would have had, is a solid coaching staff.
Yes. Yep. So, Eagles across the board. Oh, wait again. 4 in a row. 4 in a row.
Almost.
Oh, no. I forgot.
No, not quite.
The elder statesman. The elder statesman.
Wow.
He's going with Sam Howell and the Seattle Seahawks. I'm sorry, kids. I jumped the gun here because I thought any sane, rational person, as we look at the Vikings traveling up to the Pacific Northwest to take on the Seahawks, any sane, rational person who saw that game last Sunday where Geno Smith got hurt, saw what Sam Howell looked like as his backup. Now he's most likely going to start.
Yep. So the sane group takes the Vikings, and then you have the elder statesman taking the Seahawks.
I apologize. Didn't mean to jump the gun.
So close. So close.
And Of course, as my phone ding ding dings today, reminding me about how I've been a pathetic mess in fantasy football, reminds me that not only is Kenneth Walker the third dinged up, but now Zach Charbonnet's dinged up.
No, no.
So just another reason to stay away from the Seahawks in this game.
All right. Now that brings us to the
Dumpster
fire game of the week. Making sure that we didn't have another one on there. God. The Jaguars go to Vegas to take on the Raiders. Oh.
And as much as the league will try to tell you that there is not tanking, you can't tell me either one of these teams wants to win this game.
No, neither one does.
But I understand. The thing is, the players want to win. Mac Jones wants to show everybody he can play. Aiden O'Connell, who might be playing, that's why this line switched. Initially, Jacksonville favored by 1. Now the Raiders favored by 1 because Aiden O'Connell could be the starter for the Raiders. But these are teams fighting for the top pick in the draft in 2025. So how bad do you really want to win? Are there edicts coming down from the owners?
Don't play well. Don't play well.
Davis and Kahn telling their respective coaches, even though both these coaches are fighting for their jobs, they are both on very, very nuclear hot seats.
Yeah. They're in the untenable position.
So how do you pick a game like this? I decided I'm going with, number one, the fact that Mac Jones is starting to play better. He has a solid connection developing with the Jaguars' number one receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. No Max Crosby. I don't believe he's coming back this year for the Raiders. So that hurts the defensive side of the ball for the Raiders. There's no running game at all for the Raiders. They're another team that they're just rotating backs in and out. Can't find anybody who can make an impact or who's healthy.
Nope. Yeah, for me it came down to a coin flip for the dumpster fire, and it landed heads up for the home team. So that's why I'm taking the Raiders, but I've got Doug and Aaron joining me. The rest of you guys taking the Jags.
Yep, me and Sam, Bill and Nick. Now, even though both these teams are barely clinging to playoff hopes, very, very razor thin playoff hopes, it's still an interesting game. But now I can definitely completely say with 100% confidence, whoever loses this game is done. Done. They're out. They're over.
They're out. They're out, Jerry.
Pack it in. Your season is over.
The 49ers go down to Miami to play the Dolphins.
Hard Rock Stadium. Ugh. Now, the weather in San Francisco, I don't think the humidity in Miami will be a big factor for the 49ers. One of the few teams that can handle that kind of weather. Now, is Deebo Samuel finally going to show up? Is he finally going to have a big game? Is there going to be a little thing going on between him and Tyreek Hill?
Tantrum.
We've talked about the fact Jalen Waddle's probably not going to play.
Does he ever? Maybe once a month he has a game.
But now the Dolphins have a newfound weapon. They finally realize we can use the tight end.
We have a tight end who can actually catch the ball.
Yeah, Jonnu Smith has come aboard and has been spectacular the last couple months. Now he's become one of the best tight ends in the league.
Crazy, crazy stuff, kids.
That being said, everything I read about the Dolphins last week, when I picked them to beat the Texans, everything I've read said they look lifeless in that game. They looked unmotivated in that game. I do not like to hear that.
Nope, we'll see if they get a charge put back into them this week. I sure as hell hope so, because I picked them, as did Bill, Nick, and Aaron.
49ers for me and Sam and Doug. I just believe they're too talented, and they're still healthy enough where
They've got issues though. I I don't know. I don't know.
then finally, my Buccaneers going to AT&T Stadium to take on Jerry's boys, the Cowboys. Again, another team clinging to their playoff lives.
And it will come to a crashing halt.
Baker Mayfield will make them pay.
He will carve that defense up.
Him and Mike Evans. And they are trying to. I happened to read this week because Mike Evans missed, what, about a month?
Yeah, with that injury.
Now that he's back, he's trying to tie the record for the most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. And he needs to knock out about 100 yards a game from here on out to get to that mark. They are going to force feed Mike Evans. And, oh, by the way, the number one cornerback for the Cowboys is out for the year. That is a recipe for disaster for Dallas.
It is. Everybody's taking the Buccaneers except for the elder statesman. Sam's going with the
Shame
Cowboys.
on Sam! Shame on him!
So there you go.
I appreciated the fact that he laid down for me in the final week of the fantasy football regular season, but it wasn't enough to save my season. For the first time ever, I did not make the Final Four in the Sports Frenzy League. God damn it!
Alas. All right.
Moving on to college football.
What there is.
Yeah, I don't know how much we're going to delve into the Bulls that are just starting up right now.
But what the hell happened to Army in that Army-Navy game? Good Lord, Navy destroyed them.
That was a shocker. That was really a shocker. But they say it's different. They say that game is always different. Throw out the records, as they say.
Yeah.
So let's cover some of the headlines in college football before we look to the future. The great equalizer, as we mentioned, has begun a little earlier now this year than normal because of the
playoffs.
The new 12-team playoff format. Of course, this past week was awards. Everybody got an award. You got an award, Dave. I got an award.
We all got an award.
But, of course, the guy who got the most awards, deservedly so, Travis Hunter, wide receiver, cornerback extraordinaire for Colorado, wins the Heisman Trophy.
Yep, well earned. Had some good competition, though.
Also became the first player ever to win both the Bednarik and the Bolitnikoff Awards.
That's crazy.
Best defensive player, best wide receiver. Yeah, my only complaint about it, now I'm not complaining at all about Travis Hunter winning, is that they screwed Cam Ward. He finished fourth. Dylan Gabriel finished ahead of him.
No.
How does that happen? I understand Jaunty from Boise State, but
Ward
come on.
should have finished ahead of Gabriel.
That was bullshit.
Gabriel is a game manager.
I don't hear anybody talking about Dylan Gabriel being a high first-round pick in the NFL next year.
No, he's not. He's a college game manager.
That pissed me off. That seemed like it was bitter, and it pissed me off because Cam Ward raked in all the other awards. He won the Davey O'Brien Award as the nation's best quarterback, ahead of Dylan Gabriel. He also was All-American first team for quarterback, and his main receiver, very happy to see, Xavier Restrepo, first team All-American. Notre Dame gets a repeat. First team All-American for safety Xavier Watts.
Very good player.
I'm telling you, Restrepo, he's going to be a sneaky good player in the NFL. He's like a Braxton Berrios. I could see him turning into like a Cooper Cup type guy. Nobody's talking about drafting Restrepo. I'm telling you.
Watch out.
To be the number one receiver all time at Miami.
Come on. That's impressive.
That's more than Andre Johnson. That's more than Michael Irvin. I mean, come on, Hall of Famers, kids. And then, of course, we have coaching news. Notre Dame, as they prepare for their game this coming Friday against Indiana.
Pseudo panic move.
I know I'm bitter, and I don't like Notre Dame, and that's just the way it is. So, my opinion is colored. But, and you saved me. You kept me away. Because when this news broke over the weekend, and we were having our little group chat.
I can't believe you hadn't heard those rumors.
You guys broke the news that Marcus Freeman had got an extension, a 4-year extension from Notre Dame, and first thing I said was panic move, just like Charlie Weiss. But you said, yeah, because he was talking to the Bears.
Well, there was a rumor out there that the Bears might have been interested in him.
I had not heard that. I had not heard that.
I don't think it was going to gain much traction because he's in his 3rd damn year as a head coach. There's no way you're jumping from college to the pros with only 3 years of head coaching experience. He's still learning.
But this happens all the time with Notre Dame. It happened with Charlie Weiss. It happened with Brian Kelly. Remember?
Yep.
There was the one year where he was spotted at the Super Bowl, and they thought he was talking to the Eagles.
Yeah. And
Notre Dame panics. And here's my thing, okay? I'm not the biggest college football fan in the world. I'll admit it. Now, I'll watch the playoffs, because now it matters. But if you ask me and I'm not counting Bill Belichick, but if you ask me, who are the good head coaches in college football? Of course, we're talking about the FBS, the top level. We'll talk more about this later because I didn't realize that Division I is actually 2 different divisions.
Yeah, you got your D1 and you have your FBS.
Yeah, but that's still Division I.
Yeah.
That's still considered Division I, which I didn't know. I thought that was Division II. No.
Nope.
But I can only come up with 2 names. 2 names. And they're guys that have won.
Kirby
Smart, Dabo Swinney. That's it. I don't care about you. You and I do not trust Jason Day.
No,
even though he's got a title. But I don't put him in that category.
I do not put Day there at all.
I don't trust Sarkisian.
Can't trust Sarkisian. We don't trust Kiffin.
Right. So tell me who else. Lincoln Riley, that's a joke.
No.
Dan Lanning, maybe in a year or 2. If he wins this year, maybe.
Maybe.
And does he stick around to keep building that program, or does he start thinking about going pro? So when Lanning gets to the pinnacle, maybe him. But right now, Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney.
Those are the only 2 can't miss coaches.
And by the way, sarcastic, snarky, Maestro's Clint Eastwood Badass of the Week would be Dabo Swinney. And do you know why?
Why?
Again, I'm being kind of a dick here. I'm giving my Clint Eastwood Badass of the Week award to Dabo Swinney because he just added his first transfer player ever.
What? No.
He actually delved into the transfer portal. Way to go, Dabo.
Way to go. Welcome. You knew the water was fine.
Way to trade in that Volare for an escort. Way to go, dude.
So, other transfer news. I know Jamie put it in our group text.
Jamie, of course, is our unofficial 9th member.
Yep. That out of the portal, Notre Dame gets Alabama starting defensive back Devonta Smith switching in. It wasn't long ago that would have been completely unheard of.
Yeah.
Coming from the Tide up, but
now
we'll see. Maybe, who knows?
Other coaching news. Dan Mullen, former head coach at Florida and Mississippi State, and he's been on ESPN over the last couple of years as one of their analysts. He will take over at UNLV. He signs a 5-year deal. I think UNLV is an up-and-coming program. I really do.
Mullen's not a bad coach.
Now,
again, he suffered from not being able to win the big game in the SEC.
Well, and you wonder with him, he's been on the outside looking in as an analyst. And even just those few years he's been away, the game has changed. The transfer portal, NIL, is he going to be able to jump in and acclimate to that?
That's the big question.
This is interesting news. Now, this is a team we've been picking here lately because they've been involved in their conference championship back-to-back weeks against, I believe, Western Kentucky, and that would be Jacksonville State. I did not realize, and I'm sorry, I have not been able to keep up on my Jacksonville State news. I did not realize Rich Rodriguez was the head coach.
Really?
And he just left. He got Jacksonville State up to prominence, got him in a bowl game, and he's going back to West Virginia.
Wow, Rich Rod is...
Yep, Rich Rod's back in West Virginia.
Boom, he made the full loop.
Yep, yeah, he went on his little redemption tour, and now he's going to be welcomed back with open arms after an ugly exit.
Ooh, man.
So it'll be very interesting when we have West Virginia on the slate in 2025.
Will he Rich Rod himself, or will he actually go to a winning way?
And then the downside, of course, of all of this, the Independence Bowl. Army was supposed to play Marshall, but Marshall went into an absolute state of chaos after their coach, Charles Huff, left to go to Southern Mississippi. He decided, I'm going to poach all the players I recruited.
Yep. So everybody left.
Approximately 36 players went into the transfer portal from Marshall.
Meaning they did not have enough players to field a team.
So now Louisiana
You
Tech,
talk about a douchebag move.
This is the world we live in now with college football.
This is the problem with having a December frickin' portal opening.
And that's
stupid.
A lot of coaches are complaining they need this change.
Coaching
they need it change now.
And the transfer portal, nothing should be able to happen until after the second week of January.
So now Louisiana Tech will step in and play Army in the Independence Bowl. So good for them. Good for them. Good for their players. Yep. They get a chance to play in a bowl game.
And hey, one other award we haven't discussed yet. Coach of the Year. Going to IU's Coach Signetti.
Yep.
So congratulations to him.
Yep. And of course, we will have that pick for you here in just a few minutes. Now, of course, we talked about the fact that right now we're in the middle, we're kind of caught in a crunch here with the games. The bowl season just started. We mentioned Navy taking care of business against Army. Sorry. Navy beating Army. And then, of course, the bowls start the exact same day, which never happens normally. So we had the Salute to Veterans Bowl, where South Alabama beat Western Michigan. And then we had the Frisco Bowl, where Memphis held off West Virginia. The Boca Raton Bowl is going on right now between Western Kentucky and James Madison as we tape.
As we tape, live update with 9:24 to go in the fourth quarter. James Madison 24, Western Kentucky 17.
We need this one. Pick up a game on our leader in our football picks, Bill, the Big Blue W. So let us move on to give you our picks as the bowl season gets into full swing. Now we're starting with Friday, December the 20th. Just a few days away. The Cure Bowl, Ohio versus Jacksonville State. And both teams, as I look at my little massive bowl note sheet, both coaches gone. Ohio's coach left. We just talked about Rich Rod and Jacksonville State.
Ugh.
So, that being said, which team is in better shape? From what I can tell in my research, it is Ohio. So, I will take Ohio.
We will, almost the entire panel is taking Ohio of the 7 that we have in. Aaron is going with Jacksonville State.
The Gasparilla Bowl, probably my favorite name bowl.
Can I get a shot of Gasparilla?
Love that. No, that's sarsaparilla. God damn it, Dave. Tulane, the minute I saw Tulane in this, I'm like, I'm picking
going
whoever.
against Tulane. Whoever's playing against them.
And in this case, it wasn't even remotely close.
No.
Florida's been playing so much better here at the end of the season. Florida should destroy Tulane. The point
like
spread,
everybody else has destroyed Tulane over the last month.
The point spread's almost 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Everybody taking Florida across the board. Now, one of our panelists has a problem with the way I set up the bowl picks, because last week he missed picks, and this week he missed a pick with his favorite team.
How? You cannot miss picks in the setup.
Somehow he did. So Doug's pick
I think Doug needs to look at getting a pair of glasses.
So this is the only game where we only have 6 picks in, as I will have to text him, even though I emailed him 6 hours ago. The first playoff game, Friday night in South Bend, Indiana. Now, these are AP rankings. We do not acknowledge the CFP. We acknowledge the AP. Number 9, Indiana versus number 3, Notre Dame at Notre Dame Stadium.
Everybody who's in Notre Dame, the home team.
Now, of course, you know me. It wouldn't break my heart if IU won.
I wouldn't be surprised if IU wins. I still do not trust Riley Leonard at quarterback. To me, he is the weak link.
That will come up the next game.
Against Georgia.
Yeah, they're slotted. Whoever wins this game is slotted to play Georgia.
And Riley Leonard is the weak link. I cannot trust him.
Then we move on to Saturday, December the 21st, as I mentioned earlier when we talked about the 2 pro games, the 2 NFL games. We have the other 3 playoff games in the first round.
Oh, doggy, we got a ding-dong dilly of a slate.
Yeah, the thing is, it's not really good.
No, it's not.
If you look at the point spreads, every game is a touchdown or more in favor of the home team.
This first one, number 12, SMU at number 5, Penn State. We're all taking Penn State. I so wanted to take SMU. I do not trust Franklin in a big game. This is a big game.
I think this could be a weather game, though. I think that's the one advantage that Penn State has. That's the advantage that these teams are getting in the first round when they get these home games. Where
Especially the northern...
Where it's not a neutral site game, which we're going to get after this round.
Yeah. You know, when you have the more southern teams coming to play in the northern climates.
Yep. So I think that's a big deal for Penn State. It wouldn't shock me if SMU won.
Not at all.
And I
So,
still don't think if Penn State wins this washes away the stigma of James Franklin not being able to win the big one. Let's see him win the next
now,
round.
can we keep going?
Yeah. Now, see, this is the one that I cannot believe everybody is just writing off. And this, of course, is number 13, Clemson, at number 4, Texas.
How is this a double-digit point spread?
What has Texas done this year? They have not dominated anybody.
No,
When
they
the
haven't.
chips were down, they folded. They could have had a first-round bye.
But they shit the bed.
Yep.
In a game that they should have won.
Yep. Don't be surprised if this is a lot closer than the point spread indicates. Now, I took Texas.
I think Texas has the better players.
I think they're better defensively.
They're still, I don't
But
know
Quinn
who's
Ewers
going to be playing
Quinn
quarterback.
Ewers is not that good of a quarterback.
No. So, we'll see.
Everybody, the 7 picks we have in are all taking Texas. And then finally, this is probably going to be the closest one it should be because of the way the seeding works. Number 7, Tennessee. Number 6, Ohio State in Columbus. You and I have expressed our disdain, our distrust of Ryan Day. But Tennessee,
Why do I always want to call him Charlie Day? Maybe because I think of him as a clown, as a coach.
Great. Now I'm thinking of Patty's Pub. Him sitting behind the bar, giving shit to his sister Dee. No, wait, that's not his sister.
No.
Tennessee, the 2 most disappointing teams this year for me were Mississippi and Tennessee.
Yep,
out of
they
the
should
SEC.
have been.
They should both be in the playoffs. And you and I both had Mississippi going to the Final Four.
We did. We thought this was Kiffin's year.
Yep. And Tennessee did not show that offensive explosion, that offensive ingenuity
that you expected.
that I expected from Josh Heupel. So I think Ohio State will bounce back after that devastating loss to Michigan.
Yep.
It'll be close. I think it'll be a lot close. And
it's gonna
I'm telling you, these point spreads, if I was a betting man, which I am not, I would be going with the underdog in a lot of these games to cover.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody's taking Ohio State except for
Doug and Aaron are taking the Vols.
All right, now we move on to some of the second-tier bowls. Starting with Monday, December the 23rd, the Myrtle Beach Bowl, Coastal Carolina versus University of Texas, San Antonio. All I know is that all the experts I looked at think this is going to be a cakewalk for UTSA.
Coastal Carolina are not as strong as they've been the previous 2 years.
However,
we do have Nick taking the Chanticleers.
Yep. But right now the point spread is 9 in favor of UTSA. The Potato Bowl, Northern Illinois and Fresno State. This one worries me.
This, I did not know which way to go.
Now, right now, 6 of the 7 picks that are in are for Northern Illinois. Doug is taking Fresno State, but I am telling you,
Fresno State is one of those teams that they're sneaky.
And everybody seems to be latched on to Northern Illinois. Oh, they beat Notre Dame. That was a fluke. That was a ridiculous fluke. I was at the game. I watched the game. It was a fluke. Notre Dame just had a very, very bad off game. Riley Leonard, of course, stoked your fears about him. My research shows both quarterbacks are in the transfer portal, but Fresno State is in worse shape when it comes to the players they've lost.
Yep. I'm looking at where they're playing, what the weather could be like. Northern Illinois plays in worse weather than Fresno.
Yep. But I still don't have this
I
could be
know.
one that could go the other way. Then we move on to Tuesday, December the 24th, Christmas Eve. What's better than going to Hawaii for Christmas?
Malakaliki Maka is the thing they say.
And one team has to travel. My God, how much? South Florida traveling
Boom,
to Hawaii.
across the continental United States, then across the Pacific.
Now, a lot of people are saying, well, that's why we're going to go with San Jose State, because San Jose State doesn't have that long to travel.
Balls.
I'm sorry,
I'm
I
not
don't care.
buying that. They're going to be there long enough.
Now, the reason why I'm going with South Florida has been playing a lot better in the last half of the season. Their offense is scoring over 10 points more a game in the second half as opposed to the first half.
Fresno State's in a better conference.
You mean San Jose State?
Or San Jose State.
Most of the pundits are taking San Jose State. But I'm going to be the contrarian here, along with Nick and Doug.
Yep, the rest of us are taking San Jose State.
Yeah, San Jose State for you, Bill, Sam, and Aaron.
Yep. Pittsburgh versus Toledo in the Game Above Sports Bowl.
Yeah. Who came up with that one? That's Thursday, December the 26th. Now, I can't believe Doug's taking Toledo. This, from what I've seen, this one is a no doubt about it. Pittsburgh should win this easily.
Should win it easily. Pittsburgh they were abysmal down the stretch. But they should be able to beat Toledo.
So once again, everybody but Doug taking Pittsburgh. The Rate Bowl. Exciting name there. Not the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, the Rate Bowl.
They changed their name from Guaranteed Rate to Rate. So now the White Sox will be playing at Rate Field.
You serious?
Yes.
Holy shit. I wasn't sure. I had a feeling, but I wasn't sure.
That's what it is. How fucking stupid.
Now this is a good matchup. This is a really good matchup for the Rate Bowl. As our man Greg Schiano takes Rutgers into play Kansas State. The only problem, and this hurts me to say this, why wouldn't these players want to play with Greg Schiano? But he is losing a lot of players opting out of this bowl game.
Who opts out of Rutgers? Who thinks that they're going anywhere from Rutgers? Seriously.
So that's why everybody's taking Kansas State.
Yep.
Everybody, the 7 picks that are in, taking K-State. To me, that's the deciding factor. The 68 Ventures Bowl. Come on.
There weren't 68 episodes of the Venture Brothers. Come on.
Can't we come up with something better than this crap?
No, it's a company name.
You know, what's the old KISS philosophy? Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Fiesta Bowl, Independence Bowl, Rose Bowl,
Cotton Bowl, Orange Bowl.
I get tired of this crap. And this isn't exactly a matchup for the ages. Arkansas State versus Bowling Green.
This was a coin flip game for me.
Yeah, you've got Arkansas State along with Nick and Doug. Bowling Green for me, Sam, Bill, and Aaron. This is one.
I had no feel for this.
This is the one where I just had to go to the research that I did, and out of all the different places I looked, I'm not kidding you, 0 picks for Arkansas State. It was unanimous.
for Bowling Green.
Yes.
I don't trust a weak MAC school. Can't do it.
No, we picked against them, I remember, earlier, about a month ago. Came through picking against them.
Yeah.
So, all right, here's where I'm going out on a limb. Not exactly Island Boy, because Nick agrees with me, but Friday, December the 27th, the Armed Forces Bowl. Oklahoma versus Navy. Navy coming again off that big win over Army. I think they stumbled. The Notre Dame game kind of knocked them for a loop for a couple weeks.
Army or Navy?
Both.
Both.
Because both were ranked when they went in to play the Irish. Now, Army's been able to stay ranked.
Back.
Navy lost another game or two after that. But then they bounced back. They beat Army.
They blew their wad in that game.
Oklahoma has had so many issues with the transfer portal. They don't know who they want to play at quarterback. The one quarterback that led them to a decent end of the season run is out. So now they're going back to the quarterback they played a little bit earlier in the year. Brent Venables is not a good head coach. I think we knew that. Now.
We knew that. He is one of those guys who's a coordinator.
And the point spread has dropped a little bit.
So, I don't trust Navy in the bowl game coming off a monster win in the Armed Forces, or the Army-Navy game.
Yeah, so here in the Armed Forces Bowl, you're taking Oklahoma along with Sam and Bill, Doug and Aaron. As I mentioned, Nick and I are taking Navy.
Oh, here we go. The Birmingham Bowl. Also on Friday, December 27th. Georgia Tech versus Vanderbilt.
Two teams going in opposite directions. Georgia Tech beat Miami. Took, Georgia to 8 overtimes?
Yeah.
Vanderbilt started off really well. Looked like they were going to be a Cinderella story.
Beat Bama.
Faded towards the end. I'm taking Georgia Tech.
I think Georgia Tech's the better team.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree. The only people who disagree on the panel, though, are
Nick and Doug.
Nick and Doug.
Which brings us to our last one in this round. The Liberty Bowl.
Yes, of course, we're splitting the bowls up. Kind of give ourselves a break so we don't pick too many bowls every week. Oh, there they are again, Dave. Texas Tech.
Texas Tech taking on Arkansas.
Another team that seems to pop up very often.
Yep. An underperforming Razorback team.
And I think they're getting hit hard with the opt-outs also.
Yeah.
Whereas Texas Tech just gave their head coach a contract extension. There's stability there. I would like to see next year Texas Tech play a little bit better defense.
If they could play some defense with the high octane offense that they're known for, then they could be something.
Yep. But I still think they're going to beat Arkansas.
They should be able to beat Arkansas. So you, me, Bill, and Aaron are taking Texas Tech, and Sam, Nick, and Doug going with Arkansas.
All right, so there you go, kids. We will resume our bowl picks next week. Of course, I will be solo.
Yep.
But we'll have all the picks in, as many as we normally do. Have to get them in early because of Christmas falling on a Wednesday next week. But we will resume with the second half of the bowls on Friday, December the 27th, along with NFL Week 17.
Boom.
Which will include Christmas Day games. So football is done for this week, which means we move on to the other sports, which of course will lead me into my rants about the Chicago Cubs. So yes, it is time to talk Major League Baseball. It's time, again, for me to rant about the Cubs.
On Spotify, Good Pods, Pocket Casts, Apple, Overcast, CastBox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby.
Otherwise known, of course, as iHeartRadio. Don't forget to check out the Facebook page, which we have alluded to many times when we were talking about football, because all of our football picks, when baseball starts up, baseball picks, NASCAR starts up, NASCAR picks, all of our panel's expert picks posted in a timely manner on the Facebook page as well.
And don't forget the weekend edition. Your home for politically incorrect pop culture commentary, music reviews, movie reviews.
And don't forget this Saturday, December the 21st, our Christmas present to you. Your Uncle Dave and I, the last time we'll be together recording a podcast in 2024, we will give you our top 5 albums, our top 5 songs, our top 5 concerts.
And movies.
So you do not want to miss a very special holiday episode of the weekend edition this coming Saturday morning, December the 21st. But back to sports. Yes, finally, you've been waiting here for about a minute and a half as we've been taking care of business, waiting for me to talk about the Cubs. Well, the Cubs finally did it. They finally traded Cody Bellinger to the New York Yankees. And of course, they had to, in their infinite insanity, give them money.
Of course they did.
And they got back some guy named Cody Poteet. Sounds like a guy who should be eating raccoon in West Virginia. But the problem I have with this is what I've been saying for weeks, Dave. I've been saying,
get rid of Bellinger, but do not give any money away.
And I don't care. It was $5 million. $2.5 million this year, $2.5 million next year.
Still
it's the
too
principle.
Much.
It's the principle of it. You got screwed by the Yankees before with Anthony Rizzo.
Brian Cashman has made Jed Hoyer his personal bitch.
Yes, and that's the part I don't like about this. The amount of money doesn't matter. It's the principle of the whole damn thing. Now we wait and see what the Cubs will do with this newfound extra money. Now, of course,
bank it.
Earlier in the week, the Cubs made a big move and traded for Kyle Tucker, young all-star outfielder from the Astros. Now, the problem with this is, I love the aggressiveness, but he's a rental. He's got 1 year left before he hits free agency. So are you going to re-sign him? How aggressive are you going to be in trying to re-sign him? Are you going to try to do it now? Or are you going to try to play this stupid game and wait him out till next year and then contend with all the other teams who might want to take advantage of his services? Now, the Cubs gave up Isaac Paredes, who they just got from Tampa Bay, for Christopher Morel. They gave up Hayden Wesneski. Not a big fan of letting go of our first-round draft pick from last year, Cam Smith, already. So it seems like a very high price to pay for a guy unless they re-sign him. If they re-sign him,
then fine.
I'm fine with it. But if this ends up being a one-and-done situation, this is another black mark against this front office.
They have been pretty brutal.
Because now, of course, getting rid of Paredes, you need a third baseman now. So now you've opened up another hole in your lineup you need to fix, along with closer. Now, the one good thing about this, the rumors I was hearing, they were trying to package Bellinger with Nico Horner. So maybe Nico is off the table. I would hate to see Nico Horner go.
You can't lose a third baseman and a second baseman.
No, I don't care about this kid they've got coming up who they're slobbering all over. I really don't.
Let him develop.
Yes, or move him to third.
There you go.
Then, of course, catcher that we just acquired recently, we just traded to the White Sox. Catcher Matt Bass goes from the north side to the south side for cash considerations.
Yep. And lo, in a corresponding move, the White Sox sent Chucky Robinson, a catcher, to the Angels for cash considerations.
And you do know where the Cubs got Matt Bass from.
The Angels?
Yes.
So a whole round-robin situation.
It's a round-robin clusterfuck.
Good
It's a circle
God.
jerk, man. It's a circle jerk.
It's a big-time circle jerk between three pathetically run organizations.
Yes.
Ugh.
Now, of course, things have calmed down a little bit since the Juan Soto signing last week. We did have the Yankees, though, making another big move. Now, I should be happy about this because it further weakens the Brewers. So even the pathetic Cubs are getting
A little
more
help.
and more confident of what they can do here in the weak, pathetic National League Central. Because one of the top closers in the National League, Devin Williams, goes to the Yankees. Brewers get in return Nestor Cortez, another player, and cash considerations.
Oh, that pesky cash considerations. Is this cash considerations senior, junior, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth?
And then the A's continue to continue to show that they're trying. You know, we're going to be in Vegas eventually, someday. So we're going to try to get the fan base energized. Of course, they take advantage of the lowly Tampa Bay Rays as they grab starting pitcher Jeffrey Springs from Tampa Bay for 3 players and one of those slotted picks, which kind of has a cash equivalent, but
yeah, whatever.
Technically it's considered a player.
Yeah, it's one of their goofy algorithms.
Yeah. And then speaking, of course, of the pathetic Tampa Bay Rays, and I say that with all due respect and love because I do. I really have been rooting for years and years and decades for the Tampa Bay Rays to succeed.
They are an organization that knows how to draft and develop players.
But there's no financial support. There's no fan support. There's no local community support. So we get into our weekly, it seems like, weekly discussion of what's going on with the Rays' new stadium.
Where will the Rays play next?
Here are the two things I hate talking about, but we have to. Is the Rays stadium situation, and then we'll get to this in a couple minutes, the lawsuit in NASCAR between 2311 Front Row and the powers that be in NASCAR. Because it's too dense, it's too much legality involved. I only play a lawyer on a podcast. I'm not one in real life.
Nor do we want to be.
So the latest with the Tampa Bay Rays is Pinellas County finally approved $312.5 million in bond financing for the new Rays Stadium. And you would think, well, that sounds great.
How much were they supposed to approve?
Well, this is the thing. Keep in mind that we're talking well over $1 billion total for this new stadium. So, okay, Pinellas County's done their part.
Now it's time for the team.
The city has done their part. And now they both say, okay, now what's the ownership group going to do? And they've been bitching and whining about cost overruns.
And because the city and the county dicked them around.
That's the thing. They're saying it's your fault because you dragged your feet on these bonds.
Now it's going to cost more because it's taken so long to get this going.
And then on top of that, you've got the compounded problem of the repairs to Tropicana Field. And I read today that there is no way in holy hell they're going to play more than 1 year at Legends Field.
Oh, they can't.
The Yankees
They
might.
can't.
Now I'm hearing Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, come on!
As a temporary
Then
place.
you fold them out of Tampa, the Tampa area, and you put them back in Montreal.
Baseball, just like the NBA, this is a shuck and jive show.
Yeah.
They act like they're very healthy and everybody wants a baseball team.
It's a shell game.
Because I know Montreal does not want the Rays back.
No, they don't, which is kind of sad, isn't it?
Now, that could have a lot to do with the current ownership, which, again, is causing part of the problems with the new stadium. It all comes back around. Finally, something to make my man, the conquistador, happy. This will make him happy to wrap up baseball. Because this will be, again, one of those great, we fucking told you so moments. Major League Baseball. He knows what's coming. He knows it's coming. Major League Baseball just concluded a pitching study.
A year-long pitching study, 62 pages, to tell everybody what we fucking have told you for the last 2 years. We know what the problem is, why there's so many pitching injuries. It's all these idiots trying to go max velocity and max effort on all their stuff, their contrived pitches, all these pitch labs. Oh, if you put this much torque and get this much spin with this arm angle, you'll get this result. It's tearing apart the guy's arms. We told you that.
Workload management is a factor, but not in the way you would think. As Dave and I have always looked back fondly when we were younger at the pitchers like Nolan Ryan,
Roger Clemens,
Greg Maddux, who could throw 115, 120, 130 pitches and never seemed to have arm issues. Here's the rub. Limiting these pitchers to 100 pitches, which seems to be the benchmark, is causing them to go all out for those 100 pitches, throw harder, as you said, try to throw more nasty stuff.
No.
And that's causing more injuries, whereas...
Because you know you're limited on how long you're going to be out there. Oh, that's going to be fine. No.
If they knew they could be out there for 115, 120 pitches, they might actually be a little more judicious.
Back off and not throw 17 straight 102-mile-an-hour fastballs. Change speeds. Mix it up.
And then, of course, the Baseball Players Union doesn't want to hear this last part. But the study says that a smaller pitching staff would be beneficial because, again, you're telling the players you could be out there longer. Don't burn your arm out. You got to think and pitch smarter.
Oh, gee, haven't we been talking about that for the last 30 fucking years since we've been doing this podcast?
And cable access show. And YouTube show, yes.
Yes. Since we've been doing Sports Frenzy, we have been talking about this. It's common sense.
Do you think, though, they will change anything?
No, because they're stupid. We have to run everything.
Yep. And you know, again, what I just mentioned, the union will never allow them to cut roster size. Never. They'll never allow it. All right, moving on to NASCAR. I know, you're thinking, come on, guys. It's mid-December. Why are we still talking about NASCAR? Well, I can't help it.
Because there's movement on the litigious front.
Ruling just came down within the last 24 hours. The U.S. District Judge ruled that 2311 and Front Row can compete as chartered teams in 2025, granting the preliminary injunction and the Stewart-Haas Racing transfers of their charters approved as well.
Yes. So, the big bullies on the block of NASCAR kind of got a little bloody nose on this one.
They can appeal, though.
They can appeal, and they will, but there's no reason that these two teams should not be allowed to compete during this.
Nope.
And it's just proving their point.
Now,
because this was a huge ruling for 2311. Because if this wouldn't have come down, I believe it's next week, there's an opt-out for Tyler Reddick to have become a free agent because it all hinged upon the charter and all of that.
oh, yeah, that would not have been good. One of your top drivers.
Yeah. So 2311 showed this will have a negative impact on our organization.
Now we move from the courtroom back to the track. And of course, NASCAR, just like the NFL, just like Major League Baseball, every year we got to change things. We got to change shit every year.
Just to change. Stupid.
We'll start off with rumors for not this year, but next year. Not 2025.
But for 2026.
Where they're talking about rotating the championship race, taking it out of just Phoenix and moving it around. But of course, the tracks they're mentioning, Homestead, which used to host the final race, and Las Vegas.
You cannot count on Vegas in November. Bad.
Well, you notice the one thing in common with those three tracks. I believe they're all owned by the same company.
I believe they are.
So.
Would that be perhaps Speedway Motorsports?
I think that name rings a bell. Ding, 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 ding,
Which
ding.
is also owned by the France family?
Ding, 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 ding.
Ergo, proving the point of the monopolistic bullying tactics.
Oh, but this story said that they might explore other tracks outside of Speedway Motorsports. Sure.
Right.
What other tracks could you actually use? Texas?
Yeah.
That's about it. Atlanta, maybe?
Atlanta's even a crapshoot.
I know. But that's it. You can't go any farther north than that in November.
No. Yeesh. Yeesh.
Congratulations to Ryan Blaney and his brand new bride, Gianna. The former Miss Gianna Tullio, this past week married last year's Cup champion, Ryan Blaney. And if you have not seen pictures of Gianna Tullio,
Trophy wife.
Ryan Blaney is a very happy and very lucky man. Good for him. I like Ryan Blaney. I root for him.
Good for you.
Good for you. Good for you. But here's the big one. I mean, the ruling, the district judge, the ruling is big. But again, on track. So we've taken you from the courtroom to the track to the bedroom, back to the track. And again, NASCAR's got to fuck with stuff every year.
Which
Practice
is why
and
they're
qualifying.
This is why they're losing fans.
They're changing practice and qualifying again.
Again.
Practice sessions will now go from 20 minutes to 25 minutes in 2025. So you get an extra 5 minutes of practice.
Ooh.
But the big news is, of course, qualifying, where they've decided we're going back to single round qualifying, except on the super speedways. So, Qualifying will be back to a single round in 2025. Starting positions will be based solely on qualifying results, not this Group A, Group B, inside outside crap.
Yeah. Straight up, you're the fastest, you got the pole. Second fastest, third, boom, stagger it, inside, outside, the way it should be.
Why did they ever change that?
Because they're fucking stupid. Because they thought, oh, we have to do something to generate fan interest. No, you had fan interest. You fucked things up after the pandemic.
Yeah.
I used to love going up to Michigan on a Friday to watch all the practices and then the qualifying. It was a great day. Awesome memories.
And yeah, because the whole Group A, Group B thing made no sense.
No, it was dumb.
Because inevitably one group was faster than the other group.
Duh.
And then you decide, well, we're going to put one group on the outside, one group on the inside.
That makes zero sense.
Random bullshit. Moving on to the NBA. Good news is, not much. Not much to talk about. My Magic are 17-11, but of course, without their top two scorers, I am expecting the free fall to begin any moment. And, of course, for those of you that matter, all three of you that matter or care.
The All-Star game?
No. Well, we talked about that. I was going to say, they're late to the party on this. We talked about that a month ago.
Yeah.
The change in the All-Star game.
The 4 teams and...
Yeah. No, I was going to say the NBA Cup.
Oh,
the
who cares?
The Milwaukee Bucks win the NBA Cup. But I wasn't going to bring up the change in the All-Star game because, again, we talked about it a month ago. However, I would like to point out, and he should be a dumbass nominee this week.
Kevin Durant?
Yes.
For being an entitled little asshat.
For sitting there and going, I'm tired of this. Why do they keep switching it? Why don't we go back to the way it was before? Because nobody watched it. Because you pampered assholes don't play defense, and all you do is throw 3-pointers and dunks up. You don't make it a real game like it used to be.
It used to be entertaining. Now it sucks balls.
So for Kevin Durant to get mad at them changing the format again, here's an idea, Katie. You're the problem. You're the reason why they keep changing the format, because you don't play the game properly.
Perfectly said.
Moving on to college basketball. Notre Dame 6-5 on the men's side. Miami 4-7. Meh. Notre Dame women, though. Big victory this past week as they beat number 2 UConn. 79-68. They jump back up to number 3 in the AP poll. Hell, that shit's more exciting than either one of the other two teams. The men's teams.
Absolutely. And that's how it's been at Notre Dame. The women have the better program.
You want to talk about the Blackhawks?
What, mired just barely ahead of Nashville by percentage points? Both of them mired at the bottom with 24 points? No, I'm good.
Now, we do have some miscellaneous sports news to discuss before we get to the final traditional couple segments that we always close out with. You know, I don't like to talk about soccer, but I feel like I should give some props to Vermont for winning their first ever men's national NCAA soccer championship.
Bully for them.
I think they beat Marshall. Michael Vick will take over as the new head coach at Norfolk State. Now, this is what we talked about this a while back in this episode, but this is where I got confused about the Division One stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because Norfolk State is FCS, which is still Division One, but they don't play the Bulls.
Right. You have the FBS, which is the Football Bowl Series.
Which to me is Division One, but I guess
it's
high Division
high
One.
Division One. FCS is
low Division One.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah. And of course, we'd heard rumors that Sacramento State was also trying to garner the services of Michael Vick.
We'll see if he turns out to be any kind of coach or not.
Yeah, we'll see if he's grown up. Something we've talked about. It's all celebrity now. You try to get the big celebrity name, the big, the big popular name.
Who's going to make the biggest headline splash that could be a draw?
Yep. I would love to say this is another we fucking told you so, but it's just so pathetic and sad, and it happened so long ago. But I do want to point this out. After all this time, the Duke lacrosse rape accuser, if you kids remember that story, publicly admits finally, for the first time, that she made the whole damn thing up and tried to destroy a bunch of young men's lives in the process.
Yep. And if we ever gotten the full-on apology retraction shit from Rolling Stone?
I doubt it. That rag, I doubt it. Those pompous, arrogant pricks.
Who wrote it and broke the story.
Oh, and by the way, the Duke lacrosse rape accuser?
She's in prison.
She's in jail for killing her boyfriend back in 2011.
Yep. So there you go.
Yep. This is why I won't believe any of this bullshit. Any of it. I don't care from the highest... P. Diddy, Jeffrey Epstein, all the way down.
Ugh.
I want to see the proof. But now, with the higher-ups, when they hide the proof, then I become suspicious.
Yes.
We still have not seen Jeffrey Epstein's little black book, his flight logs, all that shit.
It's because there's too many people on it. Too many high-profile people still in government.
Oh, by the way, I know this isn't sports, but did you hear? That was some guy who was publicly coming out and talking about, was it that Chat GPT? And saying he had serious concerns about it. He committed suicide.
Oh, did he now? Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's amazing how that seems to happen. We can't figure out what the fuck the drones are doing over in New Jersey. They're telling us, don't shoot them down.
Why not?
Don't mess with them. But they won't tell us what they're doing.
Oh, it's okay. They're No. You fucking tell us what they're doing up there.
Yeah, because initially we thought that maybe they were looking for that guy who killed United Healthcare CEO. But no, they're still out there every night. Every night.
What are they fucking doing? Sorry, one comes over my house, it's coming down.
Then we'll wrap up with some golf news. How about that, kids? No, we're not going to praise Rory McIlroy for winning that stupid-ass showdown the other night. The made-for-TV crap they do every year.
Yeah, that means nothing. There was no pressure on him.
Oh, but the PGA guys, him and Scheffler, beat the Live Golf guys.
Whoop-de-doo.
Of course, that would be Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau. But Live Golf. Everybody talks about, nobody cares about Live Golf. Nobody cares. They've been on the CW and they're getting abysmal ratings. Well, then why is it that rumblings and rumors are that Fox Sports is in negotiations with Live Golf for a TV deal in 2025.
There you go.
And then, I don't know if you remember this, Dave. So we're looking at, it's been 14 years since the last time we had the Skins game.
Oh, good God.
They're bringing back the Skins game.
Really?
It's going to be returning in 2025, which will be 15 years. Right? No, wait. I'm not doing the math right. That'll be 17 years? Yeah, 17 years.
Yeah.
2025 on Black Friday, the Skins game will return. Now, I kind of like it. I kind of like the Skins game. Whereas if everybody in the group, all got the same score, the skin carries over, so the next hole gets to be worth more money and more money, and then
until somebody wins that, and then it starts over.
Yes, I kind of thought that was a good concept.
That was fun.
I'm kind of surprised that went away for as long as it did. Sorry, as I said, it'll be 17 years next year when it comes back. All right, moments of silence. Got a couple. Arguably one of the most famous referees in NFL history, Jim Tunney, passed away. Refereed some of the biggest games in NFL history.
One of the better referees that we've had in the history of the game.
And then one of a set of twins, Dick Van Arsdale, who was, I believe, the first player ever chosen in the expansion draft by the Phoenix Suns. And he went on to be a 3-time All-Star with the Phoenix Suns. Now, I'm not trying to be sick or weird, but how long does his twin last now?
One never knows.
People talk about that link.
Yeah.
Between twins or between married couples who've been together for 60, 70 years, and that when one dies,
it's not too long.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see.
All right, Dave, so you know what that means.
Time to pivot to see which of our contestants will be this week's Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week.
11 nominees this week. No, just kidding.
He did not have a good weekend.
No, ever since I did not have a good week. I did not. I had a bad weekend. He's right, but ever since he's been giving me a hard time, I have been purposefully trying to keep from going crazy with the dumbasses. Trying to keep it at a moderate, manageable number every week. Not only here, but on the weekend edition. 4 nominees this week. Can you handle 4?
Yes.
And you already know probably a couple of them. She better be able to handle 4. That's barely tickling my vagina. What are you talking? 4? Come on! Get Will Chamberlain in here. What are we doing? 4 inches. God. All right, so let's get the 2 out of the way that we know, are coming.
All right.
San Francisco linebacker Devondre Campbell. Last Thursday night.
Worst teammate ever.
In the 49ers-Rams game, refuses to come in and play.
Twice.
And then eventually, walked off the field?
Yep. And this is where I will give my Clint Eastwood Badass of the Week to their GM, John Lynch, who when he heard he refused to go into play, came down out of the press box, got in his face, and made him get off the sidelines. And as a follow-up, they didn't cut him. They suspended him for the final 3 games so they could fine him and recoup some of the money that they owed him yet on the contract.
Yeah, now I read a little bit more into that. I don't know if they can call it a fine. Now they don't have to pay him for the final 3 games. So that money definitely off the table.
Yeah, I thought they could fine him too.
They said they can try to go after some of his
signing
bonus.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That was it.
Yep.
But
because you start fining him, then you get the players' union involved.
Yeah. So he doesn't get his game checks, and then they can go after some of the signing bonus.
They can kind of say we can prorate the signing bonus.
Yeah.
Since you quit on the team, we can bring back at least that percentage of the season.
Right.
Out of the signing bonus is what I think they're going for.
So the suspension gives them money back instead of outright releasing him, where he might have been picked up by another team. Yeah. Good luck to him trying to get on with another team. Nobody is going to want somebody like that.
You'd be shocked. You'd be shocked. And then
I wouldn't want to play with a guy who pulled something like that.
Oh no, I agree with you. But how many teams has Kadarius Toney been on?
Oh my God.
That piece of garbage. Because he had one good game and happened to be in a Super Bowl.
Yeah. And he's been useless ever since.
Because he cares only about himself and his rap career.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Now this next one will go to show you that not even a usual, upstanding, solid, all-star, all-pro level football player is not immune to becoming a dumbass. And that would be the Colts star running back, Jonathan Taylor. When will these players learn? I can't believe this has happened multiple times this season. Jonathan Taylor broke a huge, quote-unquote, touchdown run, only to drop the ball
before he crosses the goal line. Idiot.
I cannot believe this is still happening. I cannot believe that coaches are not screaming at these players. Hold on to the goddamn ball until you're all the way through the end zone.
Wait until you're at the fucking wall before you drop it. Dumb. Beyond belief.
And in a way,
that was kind of at a turning point.
That's what I was going to say. Just going to say the same thing.
That was a turning point of that game.
That shifted momentum in this game. All right, so the other two I've got, maybe I will surprise you with. I'm going to call it CBS Sports Network. Because, okay, I get it. I know that all the sports networks are always looking for content. But you would think with all the football leagues out there, all the college football, all the basketball leagues, you got the 3-on-3 leagues, you got the WNBA, you got another women's basketball league starting up. You got plenty of legitimate regular sports. Lacrosse,
pickleball.
Soccer. Yes, even pickleball. But I turned on CBS Sports Network the other morning, and they preempted one of their normal morning talk shows for, I'm not kidding you, for the 2024 Plumbing National Championship. And
for the love of God and all that's holy.
I am literally watching this. I am like looking at a train wreck as guys are installing water heaters and replumbing sinks and replumbing sinks, and I'm like, this is on CBS Sports Network.
My God, where are the lumberjack games, for crying out loud? Those were entertaining to watch.
Yeah, World's Strongest Man, for the love of God.
Yeah.
Give me the World's Strongest Man replay.
Like, not the World Plumbing. Come on.
At one point, they're getting really hushed and acting tense. Oh, it looks like his coupling's got two different kinds of metal he's dealing with there. Oh my God, he's gonna have to go back to the toolbox. And I'm not kidding you. This is what it was like.
Oh, he can't have the brass and the titanium matched together.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was something like that.
If you have the steel on the brass, they're going to get the corrosion, and that's going to cause more problems in the future.
You were actually there, weren't you?
No, I just know that you don't mix metals.
But that was one of the things I saw was the mixing the metals.
Yeah, you don't mix metals.
So what's he gonna do? How's he gonna handle this? I'm like, Jesus Christ! The National Plumbing Championship on CBS Sports Network. You couldn't find a replay of like a 1983 NFC Championship game? Come on!
It's mixing metals is like crossing streams. You don't do it.
All right, and finally, this one blows my mind. I had to read the story twice. The other night, the Charlotte Hornets. Okay,
my God.
The Charlotte Hornets. This is an NBA team, kids. Okay? You might not believe it because they haven't done anything significant in years, but
this is pathetic.
They pulled a kid and his uncle, I believe it was, aside and said, would you like to take part in this special promotion we're doing during the game? You come out to the court, and then we're going to give you a special gift. You know, we're going to have Santa come out. And so they said, sure. And the kid comes out with his uncle, and they read like a letter to Santa. And it says, I would like a PlayStation 5. And they go, well, here you go. You know, Jimmy or whatever his name is.
Yep.
Here you go. They pull out of a bag a PlayStation 5. And they give him the PlayStation 5.
And he walks off the court with it.
And then, immediately after they get out of the view of the cameras, they yank the PS5 out of the kid's hands.
And give him a fucking jersey.
Yep. And it boggles everybody's mind. What the hell are we doing here?
What are you doing, you cheap-ass bastards?
And number one, the sad thing is, if they had given the kid the jersey in the first place, he probably would have been fine with it.
Say, explain what you're doing. Here's a signed jersey for you. We're going to go out, do this, but you're not going to get to keep the game system.
But why even give him the game system to begin with?
Exactly.
It was all a complete clusterfuck. Their lame apology was, we dropped the ball.
We thought it was going to be a skit that was going to be good. Idiots.
So now they end up having to give the kid the PS5 and a VIP experience on top of that.
Morons.
This is a professional sports team in America making idiotic decisions like this. This is why I have no faith in humanity. And there are people getting paid shit tons of money in the PR department,
this stupid,
in the public relations department for a major sports team.
This is going to be brilliant.
And
we're going to do this at every home game through Christmas.
Are we going to fire somebody here?
Somebody should get fired.
See, as much as I hate, okay, there's your four nominees. Devondre Campbell, Jonathan Taylor, CBS Sports Network, and the Charlotte Hornets. And as much as I hate what Jonathan Taylor did, and as much as I despise Devondre Campbell and what he did, it's got to be the Charlotte Hornets.
It's got to be the Charlotte Hornets. That's just abysmal.
Yeah. I mean,
to get this kid so excited.
We're talking about an organization here. We're not talking about
individual stupidity.
Right, exactly. Campbell is individual stupidity. There are multiple people involved.
Decisions at the moment. This is planned out egregious stupidity.
Yes. So the Charlotte Hornets, unanimously between your Uncle Dave and I, get the Red Foreman Dumbasses of the Week award. So that's going to do it for your favorite politically incorrect sports commentary show. And your Uncle Dave won't be back for not 1, not 2, but 3 weeks. What are we going to do without your Uncle Dave?
You'll survive. It'll be fine.
I'll get to review all the movies and the TV shows on the weekend edition I never
all
get
the
to.
Stuff you want to do that I could give a rat's ass about.
Now, when it comes to sports, it'll be more straightforward. I will still report everything to you, give you our picks each and every week, recap the bowls, recap the end of the NFL season until your Uncle Dave comes back.
And this gives me a couple weeks to play catch up on my reading.
Yes, because I technically could be ahead of you by 2 books.
You could. I do have a review this week, though.
Oh, for the weekend edition,
For the weekend
you
edition,
do?
I do.
But not one that you
Not
and I
one
both
of ours.
read. Okay. Now we keep referring to the weekend edition again.
Your favorite politically incorrect pop culture commentary.
Your Saturday morning hangover cure. If you have not experienced the Saturday morning hangover cure, what the fuck is your problem?
We'll tell you what to listen to, what to watch, what to read.
And it's a great jumping on point again this weekend because we're going to recap the year.
Top 5.
Songs, albums, concerts, movies. And then, of course, we will recap the final season, the overall series of What We Do in the Shadows. I will recap the final season and the series of Yellowstone. We have Carry On, our mutual movie review of the week. So plenty going on.
We got you covered. It's all good.
Again, with your Uncle Dave bailing for a couple weeks, we got to cram all this stuff in one last time, one last episode in 2024.
Boom.
So that being said, he's your Uncle Dave.
He's your Uncle Kev.
Say goodnight to the kids for the last time on the sports edition in 2024, Dave. I gotcha!
Say goodnight to the kids for the last time on the sports edition of Sports Friends for 2024, Dave. Close enough.
The man, the myth, the legend. We love you. Check out the weekend edition. And if not, I will be back on Christmas with your next politically incorrect sports commentary podcast episode.
Probably after watching Die Hard.
I don't know if I'm going to do Die Hard this year. You know which movie I want to revisit? Office Christmas Party. Because Jason Bateman is in Carry On.
There you go.
And I love Office Christmas Party. Have you ever seen that?
I have not seen it yet.
You need to check that out. I've seen that 3 or 4 times. And I love it.
Well, there you go.
I get to see Jennifer Aniston, too, which is always a bonus. There you go, kids. This is why you don't want to miss out on the weekend edition. So, this Saturday morning,
check it out. Have fun. Have a Merry Christmas from me.
We'll talk to you soon, kids. Bye.